So when we first got married, I told her, I said, hey, if you get mad at me or we get upset, and you don't want me sleeping in the bed with you because you're mad, I'll sleep on the sofa. I'll go in the next room. You ain't going to your mom's, and I'm not running to my mom. We ain't running and telling them nothing that's happening in here because this is between you and me. So
That is some solid advice. When I got married, or actually before me and my husband got married and we were doing premarital counseling, what both of our marriage counselors advised us to do was to have very, very, very clear boundaries around the people in our life. And specifically around, family members, around friends, around people who would essentially be biased and not have the ability to be able to have a reasonable perspective about whatever was going on. And their thing was like, look, don't get these people involved in your business. At the end of the day, work out things between you and your husband, you and your spouse. And if it ever gets to where you need a third party, 9 times out of 10, you don't want to get to that point. But if you do, then the best thing is to already have a person and or couple, preferably an older couple, a mentor couple that both you and your husband are already in alignment with, have already agreed with, and you can hash it out with them. But outside of that, don't go around calling everybody, your bestie, your auntie, your cousin over there, anytime you have a dispute with your husband or with your spouse. Because what's going to happen, you're going to talk to them, share your side of the story. They're not going to know the full picture. You'll share your side of the story. They'll probably get the perspective based upon what you share. And then when you make up with your spouse, when things get better, you're going to move on. But that person you've already told in your family, they're not going to move on. Or your best friend, they're not going to move on. They're going to remember all the things that you said without having the full context. So it just creates so much chaos when those clear boundaries are not there. You don't really need to be going and consulting with people who do not have the ability to be unbiased about your different marital concerns. It's best to work that out between you, your husband, and God. And then if y'all really feel like you need an outside opinion for whatever reason, then at that point, it's like you guys both agree upon who you're going to talk to. So I think what he said, like I said, that was some of the first marriage advice that me and my husband have gotten. And I think it sounds like that could have been the marriage advice that they followed that has kept them married for a very long time. So that's quite interesting. Okay, let's continue.
and I really believe that real strongly.
I think the whole concept of love, commitment, and marriage is not in its proper place today. Because I think a lot of females feel like love is butterflies in your stomach and looking perfect all the time, and he's smelling good, and he treating you, like royalty all the time. That's not reality. But a lot of women and men, I think, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, go into relationships with the wrong idea about what it comes with. Okay, and here's the thing that's different for us too. It's not just a feeling when you love somebody.
Okay, first of all, I think what she said is absolutely right. I think there is a lot of misconception, a lot of false teaching, and just false ideas around what relationship is, and then specifically marriage, what marriage is actually about. A whole lot of mess around there about it. And partially, I can say, I think a lot of it has been funded by, quite frankly, marketing campaigns and different companies who have over decades pushed dream weddings and shoved, dream relationships and these romantic getaways and these television shows and these dating networks and these dating now apps. But before that, it was, romance novels. Like, there's an entire industry of really selling love stories and selling fantasies behind love without actually really giving a real healthy perspective of what that actually means, right? And so I do think a lot of this is the result of, quite frankly, decades upon decades of marketing companies who were trying to sell love and sell fantasies to a population, coupled with a kind of long, steady decline of marriages and families because this culture has continued to be, embraced more and more secularism. And I think that partially is a reason that there's people out there who just have zero idea what marriage was actually about. I always am a supporter of marriage. I'm married myself. I'm happy to be married. I love it. And I believe it. And I believe it's a beautiful thing. But I do not recommend anybody get married to somebody unless they are doing it really as a covenant between them, their spouse, and God, honestly. Because outside of that, if you're doing it for deeper spiritual reasons and for deeper spiritual convictions that are related to, destiny and legacy and things that are far beyond your own personal immediate well-being, then it takes on a whole different lens. And I think, and then you're addressing marriage as something that you and that person are building, and it becomes less about you and becomes less about your personal individual point of view, rights, thoughts being always and completely in the forefront. And it becomes really more about a team and you guys learning how to build and being willing to let go of those things that get in a way of that. And so I think that's the perspective to have. But if it's really about getting married because you want to have more status, or because you want to just be happier, or because you want a person to make you feel good or whatever, you're going to be disappointed. I heard somebody say, marriage is about you becoming holier. Marriage is about you becoming more refined. Marriage is a tool that God uses to make a person more like Christ. And actually alludes to that in the Bible, right? Where it alludes to the marriage being a depiction of Christ's love for the church. So there are really heavy spiritual implications to it that I think are quite beautiful. But outside of that, if you don't have those spiritual convictions, or you don't have that perspective on it, and you have two selfish people getting together trying to build something at the expense of themselves, that can be a recipe for disaster in a culture that is really me focused. Okay, let's continue.
It's a decision that you've chosen this person and you're going to be committed to this person, and that there are going to be tests, trials, struggles. You're not going to always agree on the same thing. But today it just seems like the mind said, okay, this ain't working no more, I'm out. See, this is the thing. The problem I think with relationships today is people are too selfish. It's all about them. So I get ready to leave the house, he's got my glasses sitting on my purse. You see what I'm saying? He knew me and cared enough about what I needed, my shortcomings, because I am very forgetful. So he gets ahead of that. And he said, she ain't gonna live with these glasses. Let me put them on her purse. She got to take a purse with her. Those things are worth gold.
I'm laughing because I bet you, I don't know, but I wouldn't be surprised at one point that could have been a point of contention in the relationship. Him being like, you're so forgetful, or this isn't that. Like, I don't know. I don't know. I could be totally off. But what I'm saying is, usually anytime you're in a relationship, there's going to be an aspect of that person that just gets on your nerves, or just gets under your skin, that you wish you could change. I imagine the sooner that anybody in a relationship, anybody in a marriage is able to just accept who their spouse is for who they are, and then learn to work with it, learn to cover their shortcomings and enhance their strengths. I'm sure once you've perfected that skill, things become a lot easier. I'm not saying I'm an expert at that yet, right? But I'm just saying that one example, I think it's a small example, but it's very key, because I could honestly see how in the wrong setting, or in a certain setting, a spouse might use that to beat up another spouse and be like, see, you're so forgetful, you're this and this and that, you're so stupid, or, berate them, tear them down, and then essentially try to change who they are. Versus being like, okay, I accept who they are. Maybe this is a shortcoming. I'm going to help cover that, but let's also enhance your strengths. And so it's really beautiful. It sounds like they've learned how to work together as a team. And that's probably why they've been married for 49 years. Okay, almost done.
And that's why 49 years later, technically 51 years later, you can say this is somebody that is a keeper for life. And that's how I sincerely feel.
Oh, thank you, girl.
You knew that. You knew that was still here.
That's so cute. So, that was pretty short. This is what I love about old folks' wisdom too. Usually it's just a little one-liner or two-liner there that will just have so much meat, will have so much weight to it. And so I love seeing older people older married couples who've gone through the different seasons, the different ups and the downs, the different trials, the different valleys, mountaintops, and can still say that they love each other and still say that they're a keeper for life, and be able to look back and offer wisdom and advice to people who are, maybe earlier on that journey or hoping to get in that journey. It's a beautiful thing. And so, I thought this was very sweet, very endearing. I want to see more of this content myself. I'm always looking to get advice from those who have been married for a long time. That's who I look up to the most right now as far as relationship advice. I'm looking to people who've been married, hopefully a few decades at least, have kids my age. Like, that's ideal. Anyways, those are my thoughts, guys. What do you think? Do you agree? Do you disagree? Have you been married for 49 years or close to that? Or do you know anybody who's been married for that length of time? Do you want to be married that length of time? Are you married? Just let me know. I'd love to hear from you. Leave your questions, comments, concerns in the comment section below. Thank you so much for listening if you've gotten this far, and we'll talk later. Bye.